Hey, good morning. It's Paige Browning. It's Thursday. This is Seattle Now. Have your eyes on some new tech, but don't have the money today? Or a new grill? Some summery clothes? Well, people in the Seattle region are increasingly buying now, but paying later. Unlike the very popular layaway systems of the past, where you'd take the item home once you made all the payments, under pay later, you do just that. And people, especially younger people, are doing it in droves. We'll talk with the ConsumerMan, Herb Weisbaum of checkbook.org in a minute. But first, let's get you caught up. Protesters will rally outside the ICE processing center in Tacoma today to call for them to release Llewellyn Dixon. She's a lab tech at the University of Washington who was detained in February after returning from a visit to the Philippines. Dixon is a permanent resident who's lived in the U.S. since she was 14. Her attorney says she's detained due to an embezzlement conviction from 20 years ago that's been cleared up. The rally at 1:30 is organized by her labor union, SEIU. We're learning that political backlash against Elon Musk is likely driving down Tesla sales in Washington state. The Seattle Times reports new Tesla registrations in the first 3 months of this year are 18% lower than the same time last year. Not the same for EVs overall. EV registrations are actually up by nearly 30% this year in Washington state. In a recent interview, Musk admitted that he's lost some sales from people on the left, but gained some from people on the right. And if you're planning to hop on a bus this weekend, remember to pay up. King County Metro will resume fare enforcement on Saturday. The agency stopped enforcing fares in 2020 to make the system more equitable and welcoming. But starting Saturday, riders who don't pay will get a printed warning, and after the second warning, they'll get a $20 fine or the option to do community service. Check back for more headlines on tonight's episode of Seattle Now. We're living in a pay-later world. Use of buy now, pay later financing through third parties like Affirm and Klarna has exploded in the last 5 years. It lets someone split up a purchase into several interest-free installments rather than paying for it all at once. One of the latest adoptees, Costco, our local warehouse store. It's letting people buy now, pay later for purchases over $500. Is it working or too good to be true? Herb Weisbaum, a.k.a. the ConsumerMan, is here with some answers. He's a contributing editor at checkbook.org. Hey, Herb, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Let's start at the checkout. Once I've made a purchase, how does buy now, pay later work?
Well, it started with a checkout online, and it has just moved into the physical world in the last year or so, as you've noted now with Costco and some other retailers using it. Basically, you take whatever the charge is. The typical scenario for this is and break it up into 4 different payments paid over a 6-week period. So the first quarter is paid on the spot, and then there are 3 more payments to be made over that 6-week period. They always advertise that there is no interest. Some of the really larger ones of these where you're really buying big purchases, there may be interest rates of between 20 and 30%, so in the credit card range. But the typical person using buy now, pay later for the average purchase is not paying interest. That doesn't mean that there aren't pitfalls. Here's a quote from my friend Ted Rossman at Bankrate.com. He said, "It's an ingenious business model that helps some people afford things they couldn't otherwise afford. The problem, though, is that sometimes it allows you to purchase stuff you didn't necessarily need and that you can't really afford. That's the problem."
So, yeah, if I was going to ask you about the risks because it sounds pretty good to me. Hey, I want to make a big purchase at Costco. I can't really afford it, but hey, I can pay it off in 4 installments. So why don't I buy 2 $600 kayaks and have a great time this summer, and I'll just eventually pay it off. But you're saying this can be risky for people.
If you can't pay it off, the same thing with a credit card. The best way to use a credit card is you charge it, you get the benefits of a credit card, and you pay the bill off in full. If not, you're going to pay interest. If you're going to use buy now, pay later as a cash flow mechanism, for instance, you want to make that big purchase at Costco or anywhere else, but you just don't have that money right now, but you have a good job, you have the money, and you're going to be able to pay it off in that 6-week period with no problem. That's fine. That's a good way to manage your money, so it can work for you. The problem is, because you're only paying that quarter down, oh, maybe besides the kayaks, I'll get a tent and
Ah,
I'll
there
get
you go.
a motor scooter
You
and
need a
whatever
new
else you're going to
cooler.
get. Right, because it encourages you to buy more.
Huh.
Also, people get more than one of these. The only right way to use buy now, pay later is one at a time. You get it, you pay it off, maybe you move on to the next one. People are opening 5, 6, 8, 10 of these. They
Oh
all have
boy.
different dates. The money gets sucked automatically out of your bank account on different dates. It's not
Oh.
like a statement you get from the credit card company where you know what's going on. You don't have enough money in the account, you get an overdraft fee. Ding. Maybe another one comes out, you get an overdraft fee. Ding. That's where people get into trouble, spending money they don't have or
Uh-huh.
not being able to keep track of these things because the way they're organized.
I do wonder who decides to pay later and for what? Who's using this?
These tend to be either young consumers who aren't familiar with credit, and remember, this is a loan, people who are unable to get credit cards, or people who just don't have the money to spend but want to get something, again, encouraging you to buy something you can't afford. Those tend to be the people who use this product more often. Not to say it can't be used responsibly, but
Mhm.
those are the people that they're actually targeting with the advertisements: no interest, smarter than a credit card, gives you maximum flexibility, all the buzzwords that make somebody think, oh, why buy? Credit cards are evil, which they're not if you use them properly. I'm going to go with this thing. This is the anti-credit card.
How is this different from a credit card purchase or a payday loan?
Well, first of all, it's much better than a payday loan. The interest rates on payday loans are horrendous. So if you have to do something, this is much better than a payday loan. Credit cards give you all kinds of protections that you don't get with a buy now, pay later loan. There's fraud protections. You can do a chargeback if the merchandise is effective or it isn't what you want. You can't do that with buy now, pay later. If you use a credit card and pay your bills on time, it'll build up a credit score. At this moment in time, buy now, pay later still does not help you at all if you pay on time, build up your credit score.
Yep.
And most importantly, there's now a third person between you and the purchase. So if there's a problem with a purchase, do you go to the buy now, pay later lender or do you
Ooh.
go to the merchant? And each one points the finger at the other. And
Ooh.
that's why the Better Business Bureau has received thousands and thousands and thousands of complaints against these companies. They're very poorly rated with the Better Business Bureau. Even the ones that are the big names, they get very poor ratings from consumers who've had enormous problems with them.
Yeah, if I could buy a ticket on Ticketmaster using Klarna. If I've got an issue, who do I go to if I owe both Klarna and Ticketmaster? I'm already confused just asking that question.
Correct?
Yep. What
Correct.
makes this appealing to people in Seattle or anywhere? What makes this appealing?
You're beating the system. You're getting something for nothing. It's an end run around credit cards. I'm
Okay.
smarter, that kind of thing. And it's also for some people who are simply in desperation that this is the only way they can get things. Some people are now using buy now, pay later to buy for gasoline and groceries. So you're
Hmm.
paying off that purchase well after the tank of gas is empty or the bread and the eggs and the milk are eaten. That's really scary for
Yep.
financial planning people to see people doing that sort of thing. And I got to tell you, and I spoke to credit counselors here in the Seattle area, and they are seeing many more people showing up with buy now, pay later problems. Their finances are a wreck because they're
Oh.
using too frequently and irresponsibly buy now, pay later. So, yes, it is affecting people.
What should I do if I'm a person who's used buy now, pay later and gotten into some trouble with one of these?
If anyone listening finds themselves in a situation where you're getting yourself in trouble, please speak to a non-profit credit counselor. There are
Hmm.
plenty of good ones in this area.
How often are people getting into trouble with this?
Well, a new survey from Bankrate.com about buy now, pay later found that about half of those they talked to of buy now, pay later customers reported having at least one problem using these services. 24% say they've overspent using buy now, pay later.
Oof.
16% missed a payment. 15% regretted a purchase. And
Hmm.
14% had trouble with a refund or return. That's from Bankrate.com.
Holy cow. Okay. I mean, I see the appeal. Sure, I don't want to pay full price for everything up front, but I also don't want to be indebted to a warehouse store. But I get the appeal if the budget's tight. What's in it for retailers? Our local warehouse chain, Costco, as we mentioned, decided to start offering it. Nordstrom offers it. Ticketmaster, I think you can book a cruise. What's in it for them?
It gets people to make the purchase. This was especially being tracked online because they can see exactly who leaves stuff in the cart and then who actually pays for it when it shows up for buy now, pay later. So According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, quote, consumers often buy more and spend more with buy now, pay later, which is why these retailers are actually paying a fee to the buy now, pay later company. They're paying them a fee for every transaction that goes through of 3 to 6% of the purchase price, which is higher than they pay credit card companies to process a
Wow.
credit card transaction. It shows you that this is working.
Holy cow. Yeah, if they're willing to pay higher fees than they already do to credit card companies, they must be closing the deal. And that leads to my next question. What about the third parties? How is Affirm and Klarna and similar companies, how are they benefiting?
Well, they make the money for the transaction, and they also collect all your data. And because they're basically unregulated at this point in time, they don't have all the rules about using collected data that credit card companies do or that banks do. They can basically do anything they want with it. They can package it, sell it, whatever they want to do. So they're collecting data, and they're also getting the fee from when you make the purchase.
Okay, when it comes to my money, I don't love the word unregulated. So how is buy now, pay later regulated to protect consumers, if at all?
Virtually not at all. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau realized this was a problem and passed a rule, put a rule into place that was going to take care of this, regulate them like other financial products. The industry challenged this in court, and with the new Consumer Financial Protection Bureau under the Trump administration, which basically said it's not going to enforce any rules on the books, we're back to unregulated again. Doesn't make me feel comfortable, by the way.
What about this has you the most worried for consumers?
I think people just getting themselves deeper in debt and not realizing that this is not the smart way to go. The marketing is slick. They see it everywhere. And I think people, you want to buy things, you want to get the things, and this makes it so easy, so convenient. They compare it to layaway, but the old-fashioned layaway was you didn't get the product until you paid it off. Now you get the product and then you pay it off, hopefully. So it's not the old-fashioned layaway. If you didn't make all the payments, you didn't get the item, and you got your money back, maybe with a little fee attached to it. With this thing, there's all the other downsides. And I don't think people realize that you drown in all these different buy now, pay later offers you take advantage of, and they're sucking money out of your checking account. They don't let you know when. All different dates. There's not one record of what's going on. And even if you're financially responsible, you could just get clobbered because this money's coming out before your paycheck goes into the bank account. It's a very haphazard way to do business as far as I'm concerned.
What happens if you don't pay it?
There's a fee that these companies charge, so you'll pay a fee to the company, and then if they try to take money out of your bank account, every time they try to withdraw money out of your bank account, if they don't get it, you'll get hit with a fee from the bank. So there's two consequences there. And if you get to a serious situation, they may report this to the credit bureau, or if you have a lot of problems with your bank having insufficient funds, that will get reported to the credit bureau. So buy now, pay later at this time can't help your credit score, but it certainly can ding your credit score. Something else to keep in mind before you do this.
Okay, final question for you, the consumer man. Is it ever wise to go into debt for a small purchase? Is it ever wise to use buy now, pay later? I'm thinking, my I don't know. I really need a new TV. I'm going to buy it. Hey, I'll hit you back for the rest of my payment later. Is this ever a smart financial move?
If it's solving a cash flow problem. For instance, if you see a great sale and you want to buy that TV set, but you just don't have enough money in the account right now, but you have a secure job, you know you're going to have the money, you're not buying something you can't afford, sure, that's a smart way to do it. I've done it once or twice with different things, just to handle the cash flow situation. But if you can't pay it off, if you're buying that TV and saying, I'll think about how I'll deal with it later, skip the TV for now.
The consumer man, Herb Weisbaum from checkbook.org. Herb, thanks for coming on.
It was a pleasure. Let's do it again.
Thanks for listening to Seattle Now. Today's episode was produced by Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers. It was edited by Caroline Chamberlain Gomez. Our production team also includes Vaughn Jones, Andy Hurst, and Patricia Murphy. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Paige Browning. See you soon.